Are you just getting started in DaVinci Resolve and feeling a little frustrated? Don't worry, you're not alone. Beginners in DaVinci Resolve all experience the same problems when they first open up Resolve and get started. And that's why today I'm going to go over 10 of the most common questions that I see so that you can skip all the frustration of these things and just get right to editing. My name's Jason and I make videos here on YouTube to help you learn how to edit faster and better in DaVinci Resolve, as well as how to make your audio sound amazing. Because I'm an audio guru here. I remember when I first opened up Resolve and I looked in there and I was like, wow, this looks complicated and it's very intimidating. But the good news is once you understand the basics and how it all works, it's actually quite simple to use. So let's jump in this video and talk about the 10 most common questions that I see for beginners in DaVinci Resolve. Probably one of the first questions I always get is DaVinci Resolve free? Yeah, it is actually free. The free version is super robust and it can do, I'd say like 80 to 90% of what the studio version can do. So why would you want studio over the free version? Well, if you're just getting started, I'd recommend go with the free version and try that out because, well, it's free, right? You don't have to pay anything. The studio version is going to cost you $295 US dollars, and that's a one-time fee. So you're going to pay it once and then you're going to have it forever. You're going to have all the updates, everything that you need. I've had it since version 15. I bought it, I think, and I've never had to pay for it again. It's a one-time fee. So if you're thinking about going with Studio, just know that it's a one-time fee. You get 2 licenses and you can put it on different machines or move it around, whatever you want to do. Now, the main differences that you're going to see between the free version and the studio version are some various effects that are only in the studio version, things like the magic mask, some of the other kinds of effects that you may or may not need. The biggest thing that I notice for people in the free version versus studio is that the free version doesn't use your GPU as efficiently or as much as the studio version. So what does that mean? In the real world, studio is going to run a lot better on your machine than the free version. Doesn't mean the free version's not going to run good, but you're going to have better performance if you use Studio because it's going to use more of your GPU, and it can even use multiple GPUs if you have them. Now, the other big difference that I see is that with Studio, you can read a whole ton of file types. I've actually don't know that I've run into any I can't read with Studio. In the free version, you're kind of limited on the types of files or codecs that you can use. So you want to keep that in mind. If you're trying to bring a file into DaVinci Resolve, the free version, and it's not working, you might need to convert it just to get it into the free version. But if you've got Studio, there's a good chance you're going to be able to just drag and drop that file in there. So those are some of the big high-level main differences between the Studio version and the free version. Now, there's a whole ton of other small things that are different between the two, but that's kind of the gist of what you need to know about the differences between Studio and the free version. And in my opinion, if you edit videos often, you're going to just want to get the Studio version. You get AI voice isolation, probably the best noise reduction tool there for background noise in your videos, but Studio is 100% worth it. One of the biggest concerns that I hear from people coming from something like Adobe Premiere over into DaVinci Resolve is that they struggle with how the file setups work, right? They want their project file from Premiere that has their timelines, everything in it, to sit on their hard drive with all of their media. Now, and they think that DaVinci Resolve, because it uses a database for its projects, that it works completely different and you can't put your project file with your media on your hard drive. Well, it's not quite true, and I think it's a little confusing on how that works. So let me just show you kind of how I set up Resolve and see if it's something that might work for you if you're coming from Premiere. So on my hard drive here, I have an external hard drive where I've got my projects set up. I've got all my projects that are current on this external hard drive. And in there, I've got audio, draft video, final video, footage, graphics, whatever. I've got all the folders that I want. All of my media is in here that I need for my project. It's all going to live right here on my external hard drive. Now, when it comes to the project file in Resolve, that's just the file that's the DaVinci Resolve project file that tells Resolve how to build your timeline, your color grades, like basically the Resolve project, right? It doesn't include the media. It doesn't include your audio or any of that stuff. It's literally just the project file that tells Resolve what to do with everything that you have in your project. So jumping back into Resolve here, if I click on this little house icon at the bottom right, we get this, and this is our project library, they call it now, or database. And you can see I have hundreds of projects in here. I think I've only ever created one project database library. and they all live in here. And I can back this up and have all of my DaVinci Resolve projects backed up in a reasonably small file. Like it's less than a gig to back all this up because they just don't take up a lot of space. They're like small little text files or whatever that tell Resolve how to use all of your media and everything that you have in your project. And if I click next to the word projects here, you're going to see I do actually have a few other databases because you can do other things with them. Don't worry about that for now. But with the projects living here, it really doesn't change where you would keep your media, how you would manage your media. It's just going to look to that directory and link everything up, and it should work out just fine. Now, if you had a project and you want that project file to actually live with all of your media and all that stuff, maybe you're archiving your project, you've got a few ways that you can do that. So your project file itself is always going to stay right here in the project manager, but if you were to come to any project, you could right click and we can export the project, which is just the project file. It does not include any media. It's going to be a really small file. You could put that over in your directory on your external hard drive or in your long-term storage, and it'll stay with it forever, right? Or if you wanted, you can come down and export project archive. Now that's going to take all of your media, all of your project from your external hard drive, as well as your DaVinci Resolve project file, and it's going to bundle it all together. And it's going to take that whole package and put it wherever you want to put it. So that way, if you ever needed to load it back up, you would come in Resolve to restore project archive. It would load everything back up. Everything's going to be linked. You're going to be good to go. You could just start working. So you've got options on how you can, create your long-term storage solution. But in most cases, you're just going to leave the project in the database here. You can export out either the project archive with everything or just the project file itself for safekeeping if you want to back that up. But you could just back up your whole project library here, and it's going to actually back up all of your projects all at once in one nice, easy-to-use file. So the database thing, or the project libraries they now call it, does seem a little scary to people just because it's a little bit different than how you might be used to working. But I can tell you that it works out really well. You can have things like power bins that let you take assets from project to project, super easy. There's a lot of benefits to working this way with a project library where all of your projects are housed right there. And you can put your media wherever you want. Doesn't matter. You can easily relink things if you decide to move your media to somewhere else. You can open a project from the project library here and then just relink your media. Everything's going to be there and it's going to work out just fine. So if you're scared or worried about that, don't worry about it. It's really not as complicated as it might seem. It's just a different way of working, and you got to keep that in mind when you're starting to get going here in DaVinci Resolve. Question number 2 I get, how do I start a project and import my footage? Let's jump in Resolve for this one. So when you first open up DaVinci Resolve, you should see something that looks like this, or it may be a list of projects like this. Now this is the project library, and in here we can come down here and create a new project. So to create a new project, you're just going to go ahead and click on that, and then you'll see this pop up. Now we can name our project, and we can also select where we might be storing these on our hard drive. So if we were to record a voiceover or do other things in Resolve here, it will actually store those files with your project on your hard drive. So you can select whatever location that you want. So just plug in your name, select your project location on your hard drive, and then go ahead and hit create. So once your project opens up, there should be nothing in it. It's going to be blank. And I would recommend you jump over into the edit tab, which is this icon right here. Now the edit tab is going to be the most robust editing section in DaVinci Resolve here for putting together your videos. We also have some other tabs in here like our Fusion tab, our Color tab for color grading, our Audio tab, and then our Deliver tab where we can export out our projects. So to bring media into any project, all you have to do is grab your file on your hard drive, bring it and drag and drop it into the media pool right here. And one of the great things about Resolve is if your frame rate and project settings aren't the same as the clip that you're bringing in, you'll get this message and you can just tell Resolve, yeah, change all that for me and update it. So you don't even have to do it yourself. Once you do that, you've got your clip right in your project and you're good to go. So you can drag and drop any footage, audio, images, whatever you want, just drag and drop it in the media pool and you're good to go. The next question that I hear often is, why does my timeline look different in one spot than another? So in Resolve here, we're currently in the edit page, and that's where I do all of my work. I'm an edit page guy. I do all of my video editing and chopping up and everything right here in the edit page because you can do so much. But you also have the cut page right here, which is kind of like a simplified version. It's supposed to be for faster editing. You can do many of the same things, but sometimes you still got to jump back into the edit tab anyway. So For me, I say just go to the Edit tab right here and don't even go to the Cut tab. Now, the Cut tab does have some pros and cons, but if you're just getting started, the Edit tab is going to probably be a little more familiar for you, and I think it's a great place to get started because you can do everything that you need to do right here in the Edit tab. So, Edit tab's where it's at. The next question is, how do I add titles, text, or other clips into my project? Well, if you're adding in clips, you could just drag and drop, but DaVinci Resolve has a ton of built-in things that you can use in any one of your projects. So back here, I'm in the edit page, and if I were to close my media pool right up here, open up my effects library, in here we have a ton of different stuff. If we just kind of come through our little toolbox list right here, and if you don't see those, make sure your little drop-down arrows open here, or this icon at the top. If you don't see it, click on that, and it'll show you these. But we have video transitions. You've got all kinds of great transitions built into Resolve here that you can use. Drag and drop. So if you had a cut on a clip, all you have to do is find the one that you want, drag, drop it on your clip. Super easy. We also have audio transitions. If you want to add text, we've got titles right here. And there are all kinds of great built-in titles. Some are animated, some are not. They do different things. All you have to do is find the one you like. Say I like this one right here, superhero. Click, hold, and drag it into my timeline. Resolve 20. And it's going to be there. And if you want to edit that text, select your text. Open the inspector at the top right, and now in here we can adjust the different text parts, change the fonts, change the size, change the color. You've got all of your options right here in the inspector. Now, if you just wanted some basic text that doesn't move, doesn't do anything that you can work with, you have text and text plus right here. You can just click, hold, and drag either one of those right down into your timeline as well. We have generators here. There's a lot of cool generators from different color bars to solid colors. We even have, looks like The Simpsons right here, right? We've got cosmic lines, all kinds of cool different things. And all you have to do is click, hold, and drag it into your timeline. And it's going to put that in the timeline for you and be all set. You can resize it, make it as long or as short as you want, and you're good to go. There's also fancier text here that has recently been added into Resolve, where you have a whole little animated icon, logos, whatever for your text. So you can use one of these if you want to. Again, just click, hold, and drag, drop it into your timeline. Multicam editing can... Underneath effects here, we've got things like adjustment clips, we've got comic book look, we've got colored borders, graphics. There's so much stuff in here that's all in the free version. For the most part, there's a few things that are not in the free version, but a lot of these are right in the free version. So you can use any one of these. Now with the effects, with these ones in particular, you would click, hold, and drag and drop it onto a clip. So now you can see, looks like I'm on a Zoom call there. You can drag and drop it on there however you want. If I wanted to delete it, I could use Command or Control Z, or just select the clip, come up to my inspector, effects, hit up the garbage can, and now it's gone. You also have Resolve effects here. There's tons of effects from different kinds of beauty maps, depth maps, all kinds of stuff. Sharpening, drop shadows, blanking fill, prism blur, tons of great stuff in here. Some of it is studio only, but you can get in there and you'll be able to see it in the free version. It'll just get a watermark on it when it's for studio only or you need the studio version. But ton of great stuff in here that you can get in and try out even if you only have the free version. The next question is, how do I add music or sound effects into my project? Super easy. Again, you're going to find them on your hard drive and you're going to drag and drop them right into the media pool. So for example, I got a music clip right here. If I double click it, it's going to show me the preview of it up here in my viewer, but I can just drag and drop it into my timeline. It's as easy as that. If I wanted to add in a sound effect, same thing. Drag and drop it in my timeline. And that's all there is to it. Super easy, drag and drop. The next question I see often is, why is my playback laggy? It's slow, it's stuttering, the playback is not good, DaVinci Resolve's not working. Here's a couple tips for you on how to speed up that laggy playback. The first tip that I'd recommend is, regardless of what resolution you're filming in, if you're in 4K, 6K, 8K, anything bigger, edit in a 1080 timeline. That's just gonna make it easier for your computer to play back. That's what I do. It works out fine. I have no problem with it. But if you're working with 4K footage, for example, use a 1080 timeline, and then you can change it back to a 4K timeline before you go and export out your video. That's going to help quite a bit with your playback issues. The next thing you can do if your playback is a little choppy is come up to the playback menu, come down to playback resolution, and you can change it from full to half or quarter. Now, many times I run mine at half, and you might see the picture here in your viewer get a little less sharp. And most of the time, for me, I don't really even notice it that much, but it's gonna just make the picture a little bit less sharp because it's just not rendering it all the way. So it just makes it easier for your machine to play back. And if you wanted to go to even quarter, you probably can't even see it in this video, but it does just kind of soften up the image a little bit. All it is affecting the playback. It's not gonna affect the actual render out of the file. You don't even have to change this back when you render out your file. You can leave it at whatever setting you have it at. The next thing you want to do is, again, come to the playback menu, and you want to come down to render cache and choose either smart or user. For me, most of the time, I just pick smart, and what that's going to do is have DaVinci Resolve render things in the background when you stop working for more than, I think it's 5 seconds by default. It's going to render things like transitions, color grades, effects, anything that it can do in the background to kind of speed up that playback. So once it's rendered, then it doesn't have to process every time you play through your video. It's just going to be good to go and be able to play through it smoothly. So that's a great tool to use, is to change that render cache to either smart or user. And user, it allows you to select what you want to render in the background. But as a beginner, just select smart and you should be good to go. And let's say you have a lot of effects and things going on in your project and you just want to turn all that off. You want to bypass it all just to watch it a little quicker so it doesn't have to process that stuff. In the edit tab here, you have this little icon and you can click on that and that's going to bypass all of the color grades and the fusion effects. So that can be helpful just to play things back quickly when you want to check things out. A few other tips: save your color grading to the end. Save your audio editing till the end. Get that video cut up first and make sure it looks good. You got a good rough cut there, or actually even a final pass through so that the cut and the edit is good. Then go and do your color grade, do your audio work, and then that should help with the playback, because then in theory, if you've already got your whole edit together, you shouldn't be going slow and, trying to do a whole lot of stuff with each clip. You're kind of doing more high level stuff, working on color grading, working on audio, and that kind of stuff. The next question here: how do I change my audio that's either too loud or too quiet? As an audio guy, I've got tons of audio videos here, but let me just quickly show you how you can do that. So let's just say, for example, this music clip is too loud. I want to make this a little bit bigger just so it's easier to see. So I'm going to hold my shift key and middle mouse wheel here just to make the track a little bigger. And if I hover over the track, you're going to see I get this icon. And if I click, hold, and drag, it's going to change the volume for me. So this is going to make it louder or quieter. So that's one way you can adjust the volume of any one of your audio clips. Now, if you don't see your audio waveforms for some reason, come on up to your timeline view options, display audio waveforms, make sure that that's turned on. You can also change the height of your audio and video tracks right down here if you need to. Another way to change the volume of your audio is to select your clip, come up to your inspector, go to the audio section right here, and you've got volume right here. It does the same thing as grabbing that little line on the clip itself and making an adjustment. And another way that you can adjust the volume of your clip, if I were to open my mixer right here, down on the lower right-hand side, we've got the mixer and we have faders in here, and this is going to affect the volume on the entire track versus using the little line on the clip itself, or the volume up here in the inspector is going to affect just an individual clip. The fader here is going to affect the whole track. Now, I don't recommend using the fader as initially a way to set your audio levels. I've got videos on that stuff. Don't need to get into all that right now, but those are the main ways that you can set the audio levels or adjust the volume of music or audio for any one of your videos, clips, tracks, whatever it might be. The next question is, how do I do basic color grading to make my video look better? In Resolve here, we are currently in the Edit tab, and we need to jump over into the Color tab to make this video look a little bit better. So I'm going to hit this little color wheel at the bottom here, and that's called the Color tab. Now in here, yours should look like this. It may look a little different with the panels based on your screen size and resolution, because that kind of changes automatically for you. But it can be as easy as this. In the Color tab here, we have these, which are called nodes. Each one of your adjustments or color grades happens inside a node. You can make as many as you want. You can split things out, or you could do everything in one node. So just to show you some of the basic color tools and how they work here, if I wanted to make this scene look better, I'm going to come down, I'm going to make sure I have my primary color wheel selected, and this is where I'm going to do my basic adjustments. So maybe I want to adjust the white balance a little bit. If you've got a point in your scene that you can use as a point to set the white balance, you can click on the little dropper. Let's see, let's just try this. It looks a little warm, but we'll just cool it back down a little bit. Then let's say I want to add in some contrast. And then one thing that's going to help you a lot is if you use your scopes. So if you click on this little icon, it's going to show you your scope as you're looking across your image. So you can use your lift, gamma, gain, and offset to help adjust the brightness, the darkness, and the midtones. So your offset is going to kind of be like an overall exposure adjustment. Your gain is going to be adjusting your highlights. Your gamma is going to adjust your midtones. And your lift is going to adjust your darks or your shadows. Let's move ahead to where I'm actually in the frame a little bit. So since I have a gray shirt on, I'm actually going to hit the color dropper, select my shirt, got some good white balance, can increase the contrast a little bit. Now, when I look at the gain here and the bright parts of my image, I want to make sure that whatever part is highest, so this is my face, right here, I want to make sure that it's not up too high. So I'm going to bring that down a little bit, maybe like that. I kind of set it around that line right there. Let's just reset our other ones. Drop down the darks a little. I can increase the contrast a little more, maybe adjust your midtones a little bit. Add a little bit of color boost in there. It's kind of like saturation. Although you've got saturation right here, color boost is similar. Adjust your highlights if you need to. Adjust your shadows if you need to. Really quick and easy just to kind of play with some of these different tools. And all you need is the big dials, contrast, your white balance, and you could be good to go. You could have a really good looking image. There's tons of other color tools here that you might want to work with and use, but those are the basics that are going to get you in a pretty good spot most of the time. If you want to see a little before and after, we have this little rainbow icon up here. We can do before and after, or you can come to your node where you put all these different changes and click on the little number, see a before and an after. The next question is, how do I export my project for YouTube, social media, whatever it might be? To export our project, we're going to jump over into the Deliver page, which is right over here. Now in the Deliver panel, we're going to see our render settings on the left-hand side here. We've got our viewer, our timeline, and then our job queue over here. So you can have multiple jobs set up. Maybe you want to do a vertical, a horizontal. You've got lots of different things you can do. But the basics are this. Over here in our render settings, we've got different presets. You can use any one of those. You can use the YouTube preset if you wanted to. You've got TikTok. You've got different places you can send your render. You can do audio only. You've got Apple Provision nowadays. A lot of stuff. Or you can make your own custom export. And that's what I do. For example, I have a 1080 export right here. You can name your file, select the location where you want it to be saved. You're going to want to export your video right here. In this case, in this preset, I have an MP4 at H.264. They do have H.265 if you want to do that. You can use hardware acceleration. You would set your resolution right here, which it should set by default based on your timeline. Your frame rate should also be set by default based on your timeline. And then quality here, I don't recommend using automatic if you're doing custom settings here. For a 1080 video, I restrict it to 40,000. If I'm doing a 4K video, which typically I edit in 1080, export in 4K, I'm gonna make this number right here 90,000. The encoding and entropy modes, you don't have to worry about those. I do a multi-pass encode, so I will check that on. And then you've got more advanced settings down here if you need them. Most of the time you can leave those as they are. You don't need to worry about it, especially as a beginner. Don't even worry about it. If you're using subtitles in your video and you want those to be exported, you want to come down to subtitle settings, click on the export, and you can do it as a separate file. You can embed the captions, or you can have them burned right into the video. Depends on how you want to do it. And then there's some YouTube settings down here that allows you to upload directly to YouTube. Now, I don't do that because I just would rather render it to my machine, have my copy, and then upload it to YouTube separately. But you can upload directly to YouTube right here if you want to. Now, if you didn't want to render out your entire video while you're working on setting up the settings you want to use for your export, you can also come down to the timeline, and right here where it says render, you can click on this and either do an in and out range or your entire timeline. It's up to you on how you want to do that, but the option's there in case you need it. So once you have all of your settings the way you want it to be, or you've picked one of the presets, all you have to do is click this icon right here, add to render queue, and it's going to pop it right up over here. And now it's going to save those settings so you can render it out as many times as you want. Once you're actually ready to render, select it and hit render all, and it's going to go ahead and render out that video for you. Another quick note here about exporting is if you're doing vertical videos, if you didn't use a vertical timeline, which it should be set up that way for you when you drag and drop a vertical video in, but if you didn't, you can always click this right here also to use a vertical resolution for exporting your video. The last question here is, what are the most important keyboard shortcuts to help you save time? Well, there's a ton of keyboard shortcuts, but let's jump in the edit tab. I'm just going to show you some of the ones that I use very, very often. All right, in the edit page here, I'm going to use the J, K, and L keys to move forward, backward, stop, forward frame by frame, backward frame by frame. I use those all the time. So you can use your J is going to go backwards, L goes forwards, K stops it. If you hold K and press one of the other two letters there, it'll go frame by frame, forwards and backwards. So those are good to know. Spacebar is going to play through your video. Obviously, you're going to use that all the time. If you hold your Shift key and the arrow keys, it's going to jump ahead 1 second at a time. So I use that very often. Another one that I like is if I were to select a clip, could be an audio clip or a video clip. I'm just going to select this guy right here for now. If I wanted to move it up a track or down a track, I can hold my Option or Alt key and use my up and down arrows just to get that to go wherever I want. And it's going to go perfectly up and perfectly down. I can change it and move it around wherever I want. Another keyboard shortcut is to use my Option or Alt key and select either a video clip or an audio clip. And the reason I want to do that is because if these two clips are linked, if I select one or the other, it's going to select both my video and my audio. But if I wanted to move, say, my video up a track, I'm going to hold Option or Alt, select my video, hit the up arrow, and now you can see it moved it up a track. It didn't move my audio at all. So I like that one. I use that one a lot as well. Now, there's a couple keyboard shortcuts that I remapped, and that is to make a cut and ripple delete either forwards or backwards. So if I was right here in my timeline and I wanted to make a cut and delete everything before it, I hit my Q key. And if I wanted to make a cut and delete everything after it, I use my W key. Now, if you want to see what they are by default and what they are on your system, you want to come on up to Trim, come down to Ripple, and do Start to Playhead and End to Playhead. Now, I've remapped them to Q and W, like I said, but whatever your keyboard shortcut is, it'll show you that right here. If you want to make a cut anywhere on your timeline, the keyboard shortcut is B, but I remapped mine to be S, so that way I can use my S, my W, and my Q key to make cuts, to ripple delete forwards, backwards, and it's all like right by my left hand, so it's quick and easy. I don't have to, go farther down on the keyboard to that B key. So depends on if you remap things or not, but that's a great one too. The make a cut, the razor key. If you want to see what your keyboard shortcut is, just hover over the razor right here in the timeline, and you can see it's B. One that I like a lot if I'm retiming clips and speeding things up or slowing them down is to select my clip and use Command or Control R, and that's going to bring up your retime controls. You can change the speed of it right here, or you could just grab the end of it, bring it in, and it's going to automatically change the speed of it for you. So I like that one. I use that one pretty often as well. Some other ones I use all the time are the navigation ones. I'll use Command or Control plus to zoom in, Command or Control minus to zoom out. If you hold your Shift key and do your middle mouse wheel, that's going to make the tracks bigger and smaller. If you hold your Option or Alt key in your middle mouse wheel, that's going to zoom in and out horizontally. If you just use your mouse wheel, it'll scroll up and down your tracks. If you hold your Command or Control key in your middle mouse wheel, it's going to scroll down the timeline. There's a lot of keys where you can just add a modifier key and then do a lot of things with, like, for example, your mouse wheel here. If you don't have a mouse wheel on your particular mouse, that's okay. There's still other ways that you can do it as well. So there are 10 super common questions I get all the time about DaVinci Resolve from people who are just getting started because it can be frustrating and intimidating. I know because I was there. I went through the same thing. It took me months to ramp up and get up to speed, and there wasn't even a lot of videos out there to learn from at the time. My buddy Casey Ferris, he had like the only videos I could find, and thank you to Casey, because if it wasn't for him, I don't know if I would have stuck with Resolve, because the learning curve is steep. It takes a while, but once it clicks, like, you got it. You're gonna be off and running. You're gonna love Resolve. Everybody who moves over to it seems to love it, and there's always room for improvement, but for the most part, everybody loves it, and they really have done a great job with Resolve. So if you have any other questions that you think are common, drop it down in the comments down below. I'm pretty good at getting back to you. I want to make sure I answer any questions that you might have, and I've got tons of other videos to help you out too. Get more in depth on pretty much everything DaVinci Resolve, especially audio. I'm an audio guy. Love me some good audio. With that said, you guys have an awesome day. Let me know if you're making your first project, and drop a link to it if you can. I'll see you in the next video. Peace. Yep. Bro. An hour? You can't have an hour.